Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Wednesday, July the 8th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the Chinese presidents awarded the country's highest science and tech honors during a meeting in Beijing. Large areas of southern China continue to experience flooding and typhoon conditions. Namibia's president is now in Sichuan province on her state visit to China. In business, cutting-edge tech on display at the 25th China Internet Conference. In sports, down to the last 8 at the World Cup in North America. In culture and entertainment, a hit Chinese movie has found an audience in Malaysia. Now the day's top stories. Chinese President Xi Jinping has presented the country's top science and technology award to 2 scientists at a meeting in Beijing. The awardees were lithium battery pioneer Chen Lichuan and radar developer Bun De. Over 250 projects and 11 scientists were selected for the 2025 National Science and Technology Awards. 51 projects were honored in natural science. The Technological Invention Award went to 58 projects. More than 140 projects were recognized for science and technology progress, and 9 foreign scientists were conferred China's International Science and Technology Cooperation Award. China's AI industry is set for over 30% growth this year, following a trillion yuan scale in 2025. A National Development and Reform Commission official announced the projection at the 2026 World AI Conference. The NDRC will release 2 outcomes, a case study covering 20-plus countries and an 8-point cooperation action plan. The official said that AI penetration in key industries now exceeds 80%, with AI phones and computers expected to outsell non-AI products for the first time. During the 15th five-year plan, China will accelerate independent innovation, open higher value scenarios, and address AI's employment impact. China also pledges global cooperation, support for global South nations, and legislative efforts against data misuse and deepfakes. The UN's hosted its first high-level global dialogue on artificial intelligence governance. The 2-day meeting in Geneva reflects broad agreement on the need for inclusive, science-based global rules to ensure AI is safe, accountable, and beneficial to all. At the dialogue, China said it wishes to help bridge the global AI divide. Julia Hamilton has more.
Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than regulation, and the world is trying to keep up. The United Nations has brought together governments, international organizations, and field experts in Geneva to discuss AI governance, covering AI opportunities and risks, bridging AI divides, international cooperation, and human oversight of AI systems.
And we have seen different member states all around the globe which are introducing now already AI governance structures, and therefore also the learning from each other, being better together by joining forces. This is one of the key parts of these days here in Geneva.
Beijing is represented by Minister of Industry and Information Technology, Li Lisheng. Addressing the dialogue, he called for stronger international cooperation on AI governance, saying all countries should have an equal opportunity to develop and benefit from artificial intelligence. China has consistently backed the UN as the main platform for global AI governance and says it wants to help bridge the global AI divide. Some of China's leading AI experts are also attending the event.
We need a platform that put all the considerations all together to find the consensus interoperability. Instead of competing with each other, you find a way to connect with each other and to learn from each other. So the next step is that really to use the platform like this global dialogue on AI governance, like the UN General Assembly, to solve problems based on these discussions.
Following the high-level segment, industry experts and academics took part in thematic sessions and various side events to discuss potential benefits as well as bottlenecks in AI governance.
Governments and officials here agree that artificial intelligence is advancing at extraordinary speed.
But building international consensus takes far longer. Here in Geneva, the United Nations hopes to provide a platform where governments can begin shaping common rules for one of the world's most transformative technologies. Whether that consensus can be achieved remains one of the defining questions of the AI era.
That was Julia Hamilton reporting. The UN resident coordinator in China says artificial intelligence has the potential to be a major accelerator toward the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. In an interview with Pandong, Stephen Jackson shared his insights on the impact of scientific and technological progress on global development. He also said that China is playing a role as a global development leader.
Now, let's put this into the context of the UN's Grand Design 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And we know, talking about global development, China has also proposed its own initiative. How much do you think, in a sense of urgency, as we talk about at the start of this conversation, can a sci-tech advancement be an enabler and game changer?
So this time, let's start with the negatives and go to the positives. You're absolutely right that the Sustainable Development Goals are off track. They've been knocked off track by multiple crises, whether it is climate change, whether it is economic crisis, whether it is the resurgence of global conflict, whether it's COVID. So nowhere in the world are we fully on track towards the Sustainable Development Goals, and that is a development emergency. There are only 4 years left to 2030. We do see artificial intelligence as having the potential to be a major accelerator towards the Sustainable Development Goals. But we also do see some risk there. If we think about AI's potential impact on labour markets, for example, we just don't know yet the scale of disruption in terms of employment that is going to mean. Or is it in fact going to take jobs away and leave us with an even greater problem with respect to our young people? So these are the kinds of problems that we don't have a lot of time to come to grips with, given the urgency of the hour, given the pace of the innovation, and given the short deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals.
China has been promoting technological cooperation among the global south. So from the UN perspective, what kind of renewed mechanism, if you will, is the UN hoping for and working on?
So China has long been a leading member of the Global South, and of course it has pursued this extraordinary development trajectory itself within the Global South. It has lifted 800 million people and more out of poverty over the last couple of decades. So the first thing is that I think that other countries in the Global South just look to China's example of what is possible. And that in a context where, as we discussed before, the Sustainable Development Goals are off track. Having such a shining example of development success is really important, I think, for the Global South to look at. But more than that, over the last 3 decades, China has moved from being, in a sense, a beneficiary of development and even a recipient of development assistance, development support from the United Nations and many others, to being a contributor. It is now itself a development partner for many countries in the Global South through, first of all, capacity and expertise across the sectors, but one that is very dear is, of course, in tech. But the second is in terms of development financing, and China is increasingly a very important part of the development financing landscape in this 21st century. So in all of those different ways, I think China has grown from being, as I said, a development recipient to being a development leader. And that's something from the United Nations perspective that we can only welcome. It is fantastic to have a partner like China as a development partner around the world. We in the United Nations work very closely with China, and the role that we try to play is, in a certain sense, the third corner of that triangle. So China, Global South, United Nations, and we can help facilitate that development relationship.
That was Stephen Jackson, the UN resident coordinator in China. Coming up, typhoon conditions continue to batter southern China.
Discover the realities and responses to our changing climate with Climate Watch. Uncover critical issues such as the Masai Mara's disrupted wildebeest migration and the drop in the Panama Canal's water levels. Delve into solutions for a sustainable future. Tune in to Climate Watch on your favorite podcast platform. Become more eco-conscious and take action to protect our planet.
10 minutes past the hour. The 10th typhoon hitting China this year is bringing more rain in Guangxi in the next 3 days. As of Tuesday, Meisak had dumped heavy and prolonged rainfall over 77% of the region in South China, killing 6 people and leaving 11 others missing. The disasters affected hundreds of thousands of people. Many have had to evacuate to safer areas. Disaster zones have received relief supplies, and authorities have dispatched a national rescue team of over 1,300 personnel. Gongming joined firefighters in Hangzhou, one of the hardest hit areas, on a mission to rescue 2 elderly residents.
We are here in the Yunbiao town. Now we are following a Chinese firefighter team into the village and to search more people who are in need.
An urgent call: 2 residents in their 80s are trapped in a flooded house, one suffering from a high fever. As we push deeper into the town, debris floats everywhere. For the rescuers, finding the right path and surviving it is a constant battle. Here, every meter forward is a gamble. Water depths change instantly. Safe passage is a luxury. Navigating through a maze of ruins, local villagers guide us through a gap barely wide enough for our boat. They made it. Upstairs, the rescuers carried the elderly couple out on their backs. On the way back, as the water recedes, rescuers and locals unite, pushing, pulling, fighting the mud. Minutes later, the couple is safely in the hands of medical staff.
It is exhausting, but there are so many people still waiting for us. We don't think about our own fatigue. We only think about saving one more person, 1 second faster. This is our duty. Keeping this in mind is what keeps us going.
A race against a torrent, one through courage and mutual trust. The scars of the storm remain, but so does the warmth of life saved.
That was Gongming reporting. Authorities have relocated tens of thousands of residents in Hangzhou, one of the hardest hit areas of Typhoon Meisak. Precautionary measures come as a local reservoir struggles to keep up with the extreme rainfall. Jung Song-mu has more.
In the flood-hit city of Hangzhou, over 53,000 people have already been moved to safety. The remaining 600 or so residents are currently being evacuated, and the relocation is expected to be completed on Tuesday evening.
6 temporary shelters have been established for all affected people in Nanning, fully stocked with drinking water, food and bedding. And this is one of the local shelters housed in a local middle school. And the principal told us that there are at least 200 people are currently living here.
National emergency authorities say relief supplies are being dispatched to Guangxi to support evacuations and meet basic living needs. At this shelter, those efforts are being reinforced by donations from local residents, businesses and volunteers. For those who left home in a hurry, the shelter also offers a measure of safety after a sudden and frightening day.
My home has been destroyed along with access to electricity and water. But here we have everything, electricity, water, all we need. I'm so thankful to all the kind people helping us.
We've already filled 5 pages logging donations, but we still haven't had a chance to count everything. Many people dropped off clothes and left before we could register them. Whenever we post needs on WeChat, locals bring supplies right away.
At a second press conference on Tuesday, Nanning officials said the city had allocated 40 million yuan or $6 million in disaster relief funds and mobilized emergency supplies. Additional supplies are expected to arrive in phases as authorities continue to support rescue efforts and accommodate affected residents.
As Jung Song-woo reporting. The east coast of China is stepping up precautions as Typhoon Bavi moves toward waters east of Taiwan and is forecast to hit Zhejiang and Fujian provinces later this week. Authorities in Zhejiang have arranged extra ferry services to evacuate tourists from offshore islands. Officials in Taizhou have ordered vessels and fishing boats to return to port. Fishing boats from Yuhuan and Wenzhou have returned to harbor. Authorities in Fujian and other coastal areas authorities are urging residents, ship crews, and offshore operators to follow the latest warnings. Typhoon Bavi has already slammed Guam and the Mariana Islands in the Pacific Ocean. A landslide in northwest China has killed 21 people and injured 7 others. The landslide struck Gansu on Tuesday morning, burying 33 people. Teams from the emergency management, fire control, medical services, transport, power supply, and telecom sectors mobilized. The Ministry of Natural Resources has activated a geological disaster defense response. And the National Development and Reform Commissions allocated 30 million yuan, or over $4 million for post-disaster recovery and reconstruction. A heat wave continues to scorch Europe, shattering temperature records across the continent. Spain's issued red alerts in many regions. Some residents have struggled as the mercury soared to 42 degrees Celsius.
No one can stand this kind of weather. The moment you step outside, you start sweating. You should just stay home comfortably with the air conditioning on, maybe even turn on a fan too. Let's face it, this is just unbearable.
Well, meanwhile, Belgium extended its national yellow alert after a new heat wave on Tuesday. The country, along with France and the Netherlands, has recorded over 3,700 deaths since the heat wave struck in late June. The WHO also warns that Europe could face more deadly weeks ahead, with another intense heat wave forming over the Atlantic. Coming up, Namibia's president has visited Sichuan province as part of her state visit to China.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
17 past the hour. Namibian President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah is in Sichuan to continue her first state visit to China since taking office. Liu Young has more on the Southwest Province's booming trade with the African country.
I'm here at the Chengdu Shuangliu International Airport, where Namibian President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah and her delegation have just arrived. The visit marks another milestone in the growing China-Namibia partnership, which spans agriculture, energy, trade, and cultural exchanges. It also underscores both countries' shared commitment to strengthening global South cooperation and upholding multilateralism. Sichuan, one of China's leading agricultural provinces, offers a glimpse into that cooperation in practice. China has long supported Namibia through agricultural technology demonstration projects and training programs. Here, advances in hybrid rice cultivation and modern farming technologies are providing practical experience that could help improve agricultural productivity in Namibia. Last June, a Namibian water resources delegation visited Sichuan, and they shared insights on reservoir management and water conservation and fostered valuable knowledge sharing. Trade is also booming in 2025. A total trade between Sichuan and Namibia exceeded 300 million yuan, which is about $44 million, over 5 times higher than the previous year. Exports from Sichuan approached 200 million yuan, about $29 million, up over 300%. Sichuan-based companies are also exploring projects in Namibia, like biomass power plants. From national strategies to local partnerships, China-Namibia relations are becoming more dynamic. As this visit unfolds, the partnership is set to expand further, injecting fresh momentum into global South cooperation.
That was Liu Young in Chengdu, Sichuan province. A report by the China Institute for Marine Affairs has concluded that territorial claims by the Philippines over Chinese islands in the South China Sea lack historical evidence or legal basis. It says those claims challenge the post-war international order and could undermine regional stability. Sun Tianyuan has more.
The report says the Philippines' territorial boundaries were established during the Spanish and U.S. colonial periods and later confirmed by 3 international treaties.
After independence, the Philippines reaffirmed its colonial-era territorial boundaries through its constitution and domestic laws. Those boundaries did not include any features of the Nansha Qingdao or Huangyan Dao.
Experts say the Philippines began asserting claims over Huangyan Dao and some features of the Nansha Qingdao in the 1970s. They say Manila sought to expand those claims through constitutional amendments and domestic legislation.
To support its claims over Huangyan-dao and some features of the Nansha Qundao, the Philippines has put forward a series of arguments. What's noticeable is that these arguments have changed over time and, in some cases, contradict one another.
For example, earlier official maps and diplomatic correspondence issued by the Philippines repeatedly identified Huangyan-dao as lying outside its territory. In recent years, however, Manila has increasingly relied on the argument of geographic proximity.
International law does not recognize geographic proximity alone as a basis for claiming sovereignty over islands beyond a state's territorial sea. If every country followed the same logic and claimed nearby islands belonging to other states, the international order would be thrown into chaos.
Experts argue that the Philippines' claims over Huangyan-dao and certain maritime features of the Nansha Qundao should not be accepted by the global community. They also warn that the Philippines' actions pose a threat to regional peace and stability.
That was Sun Tianyuan reporting. U.S. President Donald Trump says he believes the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran is over. This follows the worst escalation of violence since the MOU was implemented. Iran says it's attacked 85 key U.S. military facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait after the U.S. launched strikes on Iranian targets. The U.S. military says it launched the attacks against Iran early on Wednesday in response to Iranian attacks on 3 commercial vessels, including a Qatari tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's reported casualties after the U.S. strikes in the south, accusing Washington of violating the Memorandum of Understanding. Sirens and warning alerts continue to sound across Gulf states as authorities urge residents to remain in designated safe zones. The U.S. also revoked a license authorizing Iranian oil sales, driving oil prices up over 3%. Iran denounced the move, vowing to defend its interests and national security. The Iranian Foreign Ministry warned that talks with the U.S. will not resume if Washington keeps up its threats. NATO leaders have gathered in Turkey for a 2-day summit unveiling arms deals, showing they are heeding Washington's call to spend more to defend Europe. Meantime, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged Europe to develop its own missile defense system. Wang Zheng reports from Ankara.
Tuesday marks day one of the NATO summit in Ankara, with the Defense Industry Forum taking center stage. A series of defense cooperation projects were announced at the forum. These initiatives aim to comprehensively accelerate NATO's modernization transition and reinforce its integrated deterrence capabilities. In his keynote speech, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte stated that these contracts are worth billions of dollars and represent a crucial step toward translating the commitment of boosting defense investment to 5% of GDP into concrete action. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also emphasized in a statement later that day that the EU is determined to mobilize 800 billion euros into its defense system by 2030. Analysts criticize the move.
In order to protect this perception that Russia would attack the European countries, the price is very high. Social life will suffer under this because military industry will take more money and the social spendings will be less.
As one of the key topics of this year's summit, Ukrainian President Zelensky delivered a keynote address at the forum. Zelensky called on Europe to establish its own missile defense system and immediately acquire affordable, mass-producible anti-ballistic missile capabilities. In a joint brief statement with Rutte later on, Zelensky reiterated Ukraine's urgent hope for NATO to swiftly deliver military aid, particularly missile support from the United States.
That was Wang Zheng reporting. U.S. President Donald Trump has continued to express disappointment with NATO members for not supporting his war on Iran. Trump also reiterated that Greenland should be controlled by the U.S. and not Denmark. Dan Hodges has more.
And I start with this chart. This chart is about the Trump trillion.
NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House in June, with charts outlining recent commitments from NATO members to increase defense spending after intense pressure from the Trump administration. The Trump trillion, he labeled it. But the U.S. president wasn't impressed, still smarting from a lack of NATO support for his war against Iran.
We were let down. We didn't need help on this at all. We demolished them in literally the first week. but it would have been nice if they would have said, we'd like to help.
Iran is just one sticking point in Ankara this week. NATO allies are looking for a signal that the U.S. will step up support for Ukraine in its conflict with Russia. Recent missile attacks on Kyiv have revealed a growing shortage of missile defense capabilities, something the U.S. has largely provided in the past. And European leaders are still worried over Washington's apparent designs on Greenland, a self-governing territory controlled by Denmark, a key NATO member. European forces staged exercises on the Arctic island earlier this year in a show of united opposition. While stressing that the alliance is solid, European and other members are keen to show they're spending more on defense, but fear that yet more demands may come from Washington. Or worse, that the near 80-year-old alliance could face the departure of its biggest benefactor. In a social media post last week, President Trump said it was ridiculous for the U.S. to continue a one-sided relationship with NATO. On the eve of the summit, the NATO Secretary General hinted there was even more non-U.S. member spending to be announced, potentially to the benefit of U.S. arms manufacturers.
Altogether worth tens of billions of dollars and growing. That means more air defense systems and strike capabilities, more satellite communications, more ammunition, more drones and counter-drone systems, and increased resilience and preparedness.
And the location of this crucial summit in Turkey's capital is adding yet another layer of delicate diplomacy. Ankara wants access to the latest generation of U.S. fighter jets, the F-35. While U.S. ally Israel is urging Washington to say no, Turkey's President Erdogan has a close personal relationship with U.S. President Trump. Circumstances which could make the dynamics of this year's summit especially complex.
That was Diane Hodges reporting. Israel and Lebanon have agreed to hold another round of talks in Rome next week. The ambassador-level talks will mark the sixth round of direct negotiations between the two sides. An Italian Foreign Ministry spokesperson says the talks will take place on July 15th and 16th. Earlier talks in late June ended with a framework agreement outlining the withdrawal of Israeli forces from two areas in southern Lebanon. Israel has scaled back its attacks since the ceasefire was announced last month, but fighting between Israeli forces and Hezbollah has continued. Two explosions have been reported near the hotel where French President Emmanuel Macron was staying during his official visit in Damascus. Tuesday's blasts occurred minutes after Macron's departure from the hotel to meet with the interim leader of Syria. The Syrian Interior Minister says 18 people were injured, including 4 policemen. Haidar Kazwini has more.
Two explosions rocked the city of Damascus near the Four Seasons Hotel where the French president was staying during his official visit to Damascus. The explosions occurred minutes after the French president's departure from the hotel to meet with the Syrian interim president at the presidential palace. The presidential palace published videos about the meeting to confirm the safety of the French president. Syrian Ministry of Interior said that 18 people were injured, among them 4 policemen. The Syrian security forces have tightened the security measures all across the city and have cut the roads, all that lead to the explosion site in the city center of the capital.
That was Haidar Kazwini reporting. Workers have stabilized a Manhattan high-rise after buckled columns and sagging floors forced evacuations in Midtown. Officials went floor by floor Tuesday night and found no further movement. Emergency shoring measures are holding. The 1970s-era building is being converted into luxury apartments. Nearby buildings, including a school and hotels, evacuated earlier. At 29 past the hour, checking the forecast ahead of the break. In Beijing, we'll get thunder showers tonight and tomorrow. The low's 23 and it's up to 32 on Thursday. Shanghai will see a light rain tonight, becoming overcast tomorrow. A low of 27 and a high of 33. Chongqing's getting cloudy conditions overnight. Sunny tomorrow, a low of 27 and a high of 38. Nanchang will see thunder showers overnight, becoming cloudy tomorrow. A low of 27 and a high of 33. Lhasa is getting showers tonight and tomorrow. It's down to 16 and a high of 27 tomorrow. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see a light rainfall through tomorrow. Lows 27. It's up to 38 on Thursday. Vientiane will get moderate rainfall tonight and tomorrow. A low of 23 and a high of 31. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the Chinese presidents awarded the country's highest science and tech honors during a meeting in Beijing. Large areas of southern China continue to experience flooding and typhoon conditions. Namibia's president is now in Sichuan province as her state visit continues. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
The transition to a greener future is no longer a distant goal. It's happening now. In power plants, factories, farms, and cities across China. As the world grapples with climate change, energy security, and the growing demand for electricity, China is searching for new ways to cut emissions while keeping its economy moving. Across the country, our reporters visit renewable energy hubs, industrial centers, and agricultural communities to see what that transformation looks like in practice. Through first-hand stories and on-the-ground reporting, we explore the opportunities, the challenges, and the ideas shaping China's green transition. Listen to China's Green Code, Rewriting the Rules of Growth, a special series from Climate Watch, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host,
Shane Bigham, with you on this Wednesday. Still to come. In business, cutting-edge tech on display at the 25th China Internet Conference. In sports, down to the last 8 at the World Cup in North America. In culture and entertainment, a hit Chinese movie has found an audience in Malaysia. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTN Radio. You're also welcome to subscribe to our Substack newsletter, Beyond Beijing, for the world's biggest stories, along with sharp insights and exclusive analysis. But now check of the day's headlines. Chinese President Xi Jinping has presented the country's top science and technology award to 2 scientists at a meeting in Beijing. The awardees were lithium battery pioneer Chen Lichuan and radar developer Bun De. Over 250 projects and 11 scientists were selected for the 2025 National Science and Technology Awards. 51 projects were honored in natural science. The Technological Invention Award went to 58 projects. More than 140 projects were recognized for science and technology progress. 9 foreign scientists were conferred China's International Science and Technology Cooperation Award. China's AI industry is set for over 30% growth this year, following a $1 trillion scale in 2025. A National Development and Reform Commission official announced the projection at the 2026 World AI Conference. The NDRC will release 2 outcomes, a case study covering 20-plus countries and an 8-point cooperation action plan. The official said that AI penetration in key industries now exceeds 80%, with AI phones and computers expected to outsell non-AI products for the first time. During the 15th five-year plan, China will accelerate independent innovation, open high-value scenarios, and address AI's employment impacts. China also pledges global cooperation, support for global South nations, and legislative efforts against data misuse and deepfakes. China's artificial sun program has cleared a major engineering hurdle. 2 domestically developed superconducting magnets have passed testing at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. A giant magnet, the largest of its kind, at 582 tons, will help confine 100 million degree plasma. A separate high-temperature solenoid coil, kind of like a spark plug, will drive and ignite the plasma current. Both achieved internationally leading test results. Officials say that the 6-year effort broke foreign monopolies, achieving 100% localization with 47 patents. The magnets will support China's compact fusion device with commercial power generation targeted around 2030. Researchers caution that full machine assembly and long-term testing still lie ahead. Legal accountability for AI-caused harm has taken center stage at a new UN governance summit in Geneva. Experts warned of mounting human rights violations linked to the technology. Volker Turk is UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, and he said AI affects all aspects of life, so human rights must be built into its entire life cycle.
AI is not just about technology, it is about equality and accountability. It touches all areas of our lives, from jobs to crossing a border, to accessing information. That is why human rights needs to be embedded into the design, development, deployment, and use of AI.
A UN Women survey found 1 in 4 female activists have experienced AI-assisted online violence. Women also face higher job automation risks. The new global dialogue on AI governance aims to ensure all nations have a voice in shaping AI's future and that its benefits are shared by everyone. Iceland's prime minister has pushed back against U.S. President Donald Trump's renewed demand that the U.S. take control of Greenland, saying the island belongs to its people and they do not wish to join America. Speaking ahead of a NATO summit in Turkey, Kristen Frost's daughter said that talks are ongoing and need time to mature.
We have been very clear on this. Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland. They do not wish to be a part of the United States. They've been very clear on that end.
Meantime, Poland's president called Trump a real friend and said cooperation continues at the highest level. His comments came when asked whether the U.S. would favor big spending allies like Poland over lower spending nations such as the U.K. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in business, cutting-edge tech on display at the 25th China Internet Conference.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
36 past the hour. Stock markets on the Chinese mainland closed lower on Wednesday. The Shanghai Composite was down nearly 0.5%. The Shenzhen Component lost almost 1.9%. IT services and tourism-related shares led the gainers. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index rose nearly 3%. Japan's Nikkei dropped more than 2.1%. The 25th China Internet Conference is underway in Beijing, featuring an interactive tech exhibition centered on cutting-edge areas, including AI agents, multimodal interaction, and industrial AI implementation. Dozens of tech firms are showcasing innovative achievements spanning a wide range of sectors such as educational tech, digital marketing, and no-code development. The exhibition shows how artificial intelligence is moving beyond technological upgrades and into real-world industrial applications. Olivia He has more.
Lightweight, accessible AI, unified computing power, and the industrialization of AI agents. These themes drove every major session on day one. Industry heavyweights from chips, communications, digital security, and smart hardware rolled out hands-on exhibits that visitors could actually try out themselves. Across the exhibition floor, no-code AI tools were open to the general public. Anyone can quickly build applications and interactive interfaces simply through natural language prompts, drastically lowering the barrier to AI development.
This year, our conference really focuses on one thing, the relationship between the Internet and AI. What we're trying to get across is that China's Internet infrastructure is actually the foundation AI is built on. At the same time, AI is bringing out the full potential of the Internet, and that's a key theme for us this year. Another highlight is our forum on the synergy between computing, power, and energy. By bringing computing resources and electricity infrastructure together, we're looking at how to better support high-quality growth across both the industry and the AI sector. And that's really where things are headed.
On the industrial infrastructure front, a full set of national standards for interconnected computing resources were unveiled as a major launch on opening day, laying a unified foundational framework for large-scale AI deployments. Telecom operators also displayed cutting-edge trial results for 5G and 6G technology. Digital solutions supporting low-altitude economy and industrial internet were on full display, covering numerous niche segments of the real economy. The public well-being and security track was equally compelling, with companies demonstrating personal data protection tools and AI-powered anti-fraud tech that balanced smart functionality with privacy safeguards. Several parallel forums kicked off as well, with day one sessions diving deep into agent security, computing power energy coordination, and AI on end devices, where industry leaders shared real-world insights on turning theory into practice.
That was Olivia He reporting. China's unveiled a new 5-year plan to bolster the country's tourism sector. The plan targets 8.3 billion domestic tourist trips for 2030, with spending surpassing $1.1 trillion. Sets a goal of 190 million inbound tourist visits each year, with annual spending totaling more than $150 billion. The plan also encourages tourism operators to expand their inbound services, promoting the China Service brand through distinctive Chinese hospitality and delivering unique, memorable experiences for international visitors. China's launched its national summer culture and tourism season, running from early July to the end of August. The Ministry of Culture and Tourism says it'll send out more than 450 million yuan in subsidies to boost summer travel and leisure spending. That's around $66 million. The country is planning over 30,000 cultural and tourism events nationwide. Local governments will increase the supply of products and services covering cruises, family activities, and cultural experiences. Meantime, the Civil Aviation Administration of China has unveiled measures to facilitate summer air travel and cultural tourism benefits. China UnionPay has launched payment promotions, including instant discounts on scenic spot tickets and consumer vouchers for hotels and homestays. Qinghai Province will highlight snowy mountain views in the summer, offering 16 themed routes, 5 self-driving itineraries, and 4 scenic Yellow River touring routes. It'll also distribute 20 million yuan in coupons covering tickets, accommodation, and transportation. Better traffic flow, more shoppers, and a boost from culture and tourism are driving growth in Beijing's sub-center, with the area well on its way to becoming an international tourism hub. Recently, British Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander visited Beijing Tongzhou Station, an underground transport hub. This is an AI-generated report.
British Transport Secretary Heidi Alexander has become the first foreign dignitary to visit Beijing Tongzhou Station since it opened. She expressed her admiration for the facility during the tour.
Probably the closest we get to this, we're building a new high-speed railway between London and Birmingham, and there's 4 new stations. And so one station, Older Common, is the most far advanced at the moment, but it's going to take a much longer time to construct than this has here.
All railway stations, rail transit lines, and supporting facilities are located underground, with a planned floor area of 1.28 million square meters. The station also provides strong transport support for the growing nighttime economy. Since its official opening at the end of May 2025, the West Bank area has attracted over 3.8 million visitors and generated total sales exceeding 15 million yuan.
The evening atmosphere is excellent, and the foot traffic on this street is very strong. On weekends, we're always fully booked. We have 40 tables and typically max out at around 200 guests.
2 large waterfront viewing steps have eliminated the visual barrier that once kept people from seeing the water. They now serve as a stage for sports events and live performances.
In the evening, people are more drawn to taking a relaxed stroll along the Grand Canal. The beautiful natural surroundings blend seamlessly with our lush greenery and vibrant flowers, a perfect fusion of nature and design.
Tongzhou District, home to Beijing's municipal subcenter, has seen its GDP climb from 65 billion yuan to 163.88 billion yuan over a decade of development. That's an average annual growth rate of more than 6%. In 2025, the growth rate reached 10.8%, the highest among all districts in Beijing. The gains reflect progress in economic development, people's livelihoods, and the ecological environment.
We will continue to center our efforts on administrative office, business services, cultural tourism, and technological innovation. We aim to further upgrade our development capabilities and strive to establish a model of urban development that exemplifies China's modernization journey.
Better transport, more visitors, and a growing cultural and tourism scene are transforming Beijing's subcenter into a world-class, modern, and livable urban district.
That was a report on Beijing's subcenter development. Japan's Nikkei says China led the world in the volume and quality of applications for financial technology patents over the past decade. The Nikkei and Tokyo-based research firm Patent Result jointly conducted a survey of fintech-related patent applications in 118 countries and regions between 2016 and 25. The survey found that global fintech patent filings totaled roughly 120,000, nearly triple the volume of the prior decade. Applications from Chinese companies in the period accounted for for more than 38% of the global total, the largest share by far, with filings up tenfold from the previous decade. The United States ranks second with a 17% share, followed by South Korea at 9% and Japan at 8%. Chinese companies also dominated at the corporate level, taking 8 of the top 10 spots by number of fintech patent applications. Industrial and Commercial Bank of China topped the global ranking, followed by Bank of China, China Construction Bank, and Tencent. The findings also show that China took the lead in patent quality, as measured by value and competitiveness score, with the United States placing second and Japan in third. Hong Kong's Central Clearing and Settlement System for Gold has started trial operation. The city's completed its first gold deposit and its first trading and settlement activities. Key market participants of the trial operation include banks, financial institutions, and jewelers. According to financial authorities and the Treasury Bureau, the targeted initiatives include rolling out the initial phase of Delivery Connect with the Shanghai Gold Exchange, expanding storage capacity and refining capability, and diversifying gold investment products. Financial Secretary Paul Chan says the trial operation marks a significant step forward in developing Hong Kong's gold trading infrastructure. Hong Kong is committed to building a thriving gold trading ecosystem, creating new investment opportunities for local and overseas investors, and injecting new momentum into the development of the financial sector. Operating under the governance of the Hong Kong Precious Metals Central Clearing Company Limited, a wholly owned government-owned entity, the system provides clearing and settlement services for bilateral and over-the-counter gold transactions. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, down to the last 8 at the World Cup in North America.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
46 past the hour now, and turning to sports. Here's Yang Guang.
Thank you, Shane. Switzerland has reached the World Cup quarterfinals after edging past Colombia on penalties following a goalless draw in Vancouver. The Swiss won the shootout 4-3 to secure their place in the last 8, where they will face defending champions Argentina. Switzerland and Colombia created chances but failed to find a breakthrough during 120 minutes of play before the European side held their nerve in the penalty shootout. The quarterfinal lineup is now complete, with 6 European teams joining Argentina and Morocco in the last 8. For more, here's Tianyu in the studio for the game analysis. Now, Switzerland has reached the World Cup quarterfinals for the first time in 72 years. What's been the key to their success?
Well, I think Switzerland are proving that football isn't always about having the biggest stars. I mean, they don't have a squad full of world-famous names, but they probably have one of the most disciplined teams left in the tournament. So in the game against Colombia, they spent long periods under pressure, but they never lost their shape or their composure. Gregor Kobel made some outstanding saves. Xhaka once again showed why he's such an important leader, and even after Akanji missed his penalty, the rest of the team stayed calm and backed him up. That says a lot about the character of this group. And another thing I really like is their patience. They don't force the game or panic when they're not creating many chances. They trust their system and wait for the right moments. So sometimes that isn't the most exciting football, but it's very effective. I think Switzerland have shown that a united team with great organization can go a very long way.
Earlier in the day, defending champions Argentina booked a place in the World Cup quarterfinals after a dramatic comeback victory over Egypt. Argentina came from 2 goals down to beat Egypt 3-2 in Atlanta, extending their unbeaten run in the tournament to 11 matches. Head coach Lionel Scaloni praised his team's determination and fighting spirit.
For this match, honestly, not to make a big deal or act as if we have reached the final, but the significance is comparable to so many other great moments that we have experienced. Why? Because it's the feeling of a team that, whatever's going on, never stops pushing forward and never stops trying to play our own game. At the end of the day, that's what football is about. Football comes first and tactics second.
The defending champions will now advance to the last 8, continuing their bid for back-to-back titles. France is preparing for a highly anticipated quarter-final against Morocco in Boston, a rematch of their semi-final meeting 4 years ago. Morocco arrives with growing confidence after an impressive run that has seen them overcome several strong opponents, while France is aiming to reach the semi-finals for a 3rd consecutive World Cup. French players, including forward Jean-Philippe Mateta and defender Dayot Upamecano, say they must take their rival seriously.
I think the current Morocco team, they're better. Yes, I think they're significantly better. They are really improving. They're ranked 6th in the world, and what they're doing right now is impressive.
They are a really great team. They are ranked 6th in the world and they have improved since 2022. We will need to be alert, both defensively and offensively, because we respect this team. But we want to win this match to keep going in the competition.
The winner will advance to the semi-finals. Brazil's wait for a record-extending 6th World Cup title will continue after their early exit from the tournament. The 5-time champions were eliminated by Norway in the last 16, meaning their title drought has reached at least 28 years, the longest in the country's history. Former Brazil captain Cafu, who lifted the trophy in 2002, says the team must focus on developing a new generation of players.
It will be even greater. If we felt a lot of pressure in 1994 after 24 years without a World Cup title, imagine now in 2030 after 28 years. The Brazilian squad has always faced the pressure, but they have always been held to a high standard, and that will continue because people know their potential and capability. So now it's about having patience. A new cycle begins, and a new generation arrives. But this is not the end of the world. It is the beginning of a new cycle.
Cafu says Brazil will continue to face pressure at the 2030 World Cup, but believes the team can return stronger with time and support. Spain's progress at World Cup has increased the possibility of several opening weekend matches in the new La Liga season being postponed. The Spanish top flight is scheduled to start on August 15th and 16th, but the clubs with players reaching the World Cup semi-finals will be allowed to delay their opening fixtures by a week. Real Madrid's opener against Real Sociedad is already expected to be affected, with the club guaranteed to have at least one player in the semi-finals after France and Morocco advanced to the last 8. Spain's continued run has added further uncertainty as more La Liga teams now have players involved in the latter stages of the tournament. The Players' Union says footballers should receive at least 3 weeks of summer rest after the World Cup, which ends on July 19th. Meanwhile, other major European leagues, including the Premier League, have avoided similar issues by starting their new seasons later. And finally, in tennis, Novak Djokovic has reached the Wimbledon semi-finals after surviving a 5-set epic against Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime. The Serbian won in a marathon quarter-final that lasted more than 5 hours, keeping his bid for a record 25th Grand Slam title alive. The 39-year-old will face defending champion and world number 1 Jannik Sinner in the semi-finals after the Italian defeated Germany's Jan-Lennart Struff in straight sets. In the women's draw, Karolina Muchova reached the Wimbledon semi-finals for the 3rd time after beating former world number 1 Naomi Osaka in straight sets.
All right, thank you very much. That's Yang Guang with sports. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, and coming up in culture and entertainment, the hit Chinese movie has found an audience in Malaysia.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
53 past the hour. Turning to culture and entertainment, and fans of the Chinese film Dear You, about Torrential migrants to Southeast Asia, have met the film's director and 2 stars in Kuala Lumpur. The film has resonated deeply with the Chinese community in Malaysia, pulling in over $3.7 million at the box office and making the South Asian country the biggest market for the film outside China. Ryan Meltzer has more from Kuala Lumpur.
They stood for hours for a chance to see in person the director and 2 stars of the film Dear You. Just under a quarter of Malaysia's population is ethnic Chinese, and the film about the struggles of Chinese migrants to this region in the first half of the last century has found an eager audience here.
Because the film was so touching, we came to see them in person because this film is very moving. A film about loyalty, affection, and righteousness.
This woman, who's seen the film twice, says it mirrored the experiences of her ancestors.
I shed a few tears because this film portrays it so truthfully. I could really feel that life back then was not easy for them at all, and every scene felt so real.
The director and actors gave a press conference for a packed house of traditional traditional media and social media influencers.
There are far more emotions than we had imagined, so that has been very moving for us. It's like we created one part of it, and then the audience helped us complete the other part. It's as though we all co-created the emotional journey of Dear You together.
All the encouragement and affirmation I've received has been very touching. I never imagined beforehand that everyone would like it this much.
It's resonated particularly strongly with Malaysia's Teochew sub-ethnic group.
Local Teochew community groups and some clan associations across Malaysia have been buying up blocks of tickets and bussing in their members to watch the film.
Though the film takes place in Thailand, the director said many of the sets were inspired by places he visited in Malaysia that may have added to the emotional impact that so many Chinese Malaysians have experienced when viewing this unexpected hit film.
That was Ryan Meltzer reporting. A new symphonic music drama inspired by Chinese literary classic Dream of the Red Mansions has hit the stage in Suzhou as part of a nationwide tour. The production features veteran actor Ouyang Fancheng, who became famous for playing the male protagonist Jia Baoyu in the landmark 1987 television adaptation of the novel. At 62, Ouyang returns to the story not as the character but as a narrator, reflecting on 4 decades of memories. Produced by the Suzhou Symphony Orchestra, the performance combines orchestral music, traditional Chinese instruments, and film projections. The production incorporates 16 classic songs from that 1987 TV series, while giving new life to the familiar melodies through a modern symphonic arrangement. After its premiere in Urumqi, the production's begun a nationwide tour, with Suzhou chosen as a meaningful stop closely connected to the world of that classic novel. A major exhibition showcasing the finest imperial costumes from China's Qing dynasty has opened at the World Expo Museum in Shanghai. Titled Imperial Colors, the exhibition features more than 100 rare textile and embroidery artifacts from the Palace Museum. They include royal robes, ceremonial garments, accessories, and fabrics. Nearly 90% of the exhibits are on display outside Beijing for the first time, while more than 30% are making their public debut. The collection highlights the craftsmanship of ancient Chinese silk weaving, embroidery, and natural dyeing techniques. The exhibition also offers immersive digital experiences using technologies such as virtual reality and 3D displays, along with a series of cultural activities during its 3-month run. We're at 57 past the hour. Beijing's getting thunder showers overnight and through tomorrow, a low of 23, and it's up to 32 on Thursday. Shanghai will see a light rainfall tonight, giving way to overcast conditions tomorrow, a low of 27 and a high of 33. Chongqing will be cloudy overnight, sunshine for tomorrow, a low of 27 and a high of 38. Nanchang's getting thunder showers through tomorrow, or rather overnight, cloudy tomorrow, a low of 27 and a high of 33. Lhasa is getting showers tonight and tomorrow, a low of 60 and a high of 27. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will see some rainfall through tomorrow, a low of 27 and 38 degrees for a high on Thursday. That's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the Chinese presidents awarded the country's highest science and tech honors during a meeting in Beijing. And large areas of southern China continue to experience flooding and typhoon conditions. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital. Hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
The best military commander is not he who fights 100 battles and wins every one of them. The best military strategy does not lead to the desiccation of the enemy's capital city. Decoding the Art of War will help you understand why there's no art in war and how Sun Tzu stayed undefeatable using the science of war, with fun stories and insightful breakdown of famous battles. Find Decoding the Art of War wherever you listen.
A poem for the Tibetan antelope, the gentle spirit of the Qinghai Seazong Plateau, spoken by voices from across the world. Every spring, female antelopes migrate hundreds of miles to Zhuonai Lake to give birth, as we build gentle passages for their journey.
Hello, little Tibetan antelope, eyes opening to the light for the very first time.
To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower.
So much wonder calls for so much courage. But have no fear. The way home is right there, waiting for you.
From the snows of Kunlun to the winds of Tangula, the wilderness will teach me to be strong.
But the call of life itself never ceases.
A train runs toward the horizon. A road stretches through the wilderness.
The bridge that soars through the clouds is no barrier across the land, but a gateway to where I truly belong.
Tibetan antelope's hoofprints loosen the soil, letting snow melt sink into the earth.
Human presence passes through,
but we've never walked this land alone.